about the scattering of Africans all over the world, Dr. LMadu, who is the president of the Pan-African Journal. And of course, Dr. LMadu, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Yeah.
And of course, Dr. LMadu, there's nothing that we can say in terms of introducing you to our audience, because I'm sure that all of them know you by now because of the number of appearances that you've had on this particular show. And you've given us very, very good support in terms of the African situation. And I'm sure that to talk about how Africans came out of Africa and today are found all over the world is a very, very intriguing and certainly an interesting topic. And so let's start off by talking about that scattering of Africans all over this world.
Well, thank you, Dr. Henny. Always a pleasure, to be on this program. And I think this is a very important and appropriate topic, given the momentous election that we are going into in a few weeks. Our prospective president, if he wins, it's likely to be African American with an African father. So it's very important, and this topic is very appropriate at this time. Most people really don't know that apart from Africa, you have millions, of blacks, Africans all over the world, scattered in different countries, For example, in Latin America, almost all the countries have black citizens, even though they deny it. In Colombia, we have about 5 million blacks in Colombia. In Uruguay, you have almost 500,000 blacks in Uruguay. In Ecuador, the same. You have almost 500,000, 1 million blacks in Ecuador. In Peru, the same. You have a whole lot of blacks in Peru, almost 500,000, in Peru. In Argentina, Argentina has always claimed to be one of the whitest countries in Latin America because he chose to hide his black citizens. Yes, according to the World Bank recently, Argentina has almost 2 million blacks. What happens there, a lot of them deny that they're either blacks or otherwise. Chile has also blacks. Brazil has about 90 million black citizens, larger than any other black population outside Nigeria in the world. Guyana, almost half of the populations are black. Suriname, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, the blue fields area of Nicaragua is predominantly black. El Salvador, the same. Paraguay, yes, you have blacks in Paraguay. In Bolivia, you have blacks in Bolivia. In Cuba, you have blacks in Cuba. In Dominican Republic, the same. In Haiti, of course, that's obvious. Then you talk of Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, St. Kitts, Nevis. All these are predominated, by black folks in South and Central and Latin America as a whole. Mexico, the same. Most people don't know there are a whole lot of blacks in Mexico. Then go to the Middle East. A lot of blacks in Libya, in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt. Sadat, former president of Egypt, was considered black. In Mauritania, in most of the Arab countries, because of the trans-Saharan slave trade, through which almost 5 million Africans passed through. So you have Africans, living all over the world, all over the globe, and who lived there even before, the current power structure, became obvious. So it's important for somebody to know that apart from Africa, you have blacks
all over the world, literally all over the world.
Exactly. And the same situation of racial prejudice also exists in those societies where they live. When we talk of racism at times, People just focus on the United States.
Okay.
Not understanding that, you know, there's even more insidious racism in these countries, you know, where Africans live because of lack of laws in protecting them.
Okay. And of course, Dr. Madu, we just about ended this first segment, and of course, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we're going to come back and we'll pick up right at where you are now and give that second segment. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. We're talking to Dr.